Welcome in. You are listening to Just an Average Podcast with your hosts, Jake and Casey. All right, well, today, Casey obviously not with us. I'm actually joined by Connor from Forget the World Movies. Connor, a little bit about your page. I know I kind of talked about you guys a little bit in a previous podcast, but you're all about movies. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. First off, honor to be here. I can never fill the place, of your. I'm an astute guest for sure. It's a pleasure to be here. But no, I'm Forget the World Movies, aka Connor Chandler. In 2014, I started the blog. There was no place for short form content, so it kind of just stayed as a blog up until finally, life kind of gets in the way. You get a little bit older, more responsibilities come your way. So always kept going to movies. I'm a massive comic book nerd, sports films, action films. I pretty much try to watch it all. Like Oscar wise, I try to watch all the best picture nominees and whatnot. But I've just always had a love for movies, and I'm getting to the point now where I've got a little bit more time in life, and I just really wanted to finally fulfill that dream of having a short form content space. And TikTok and Instagram has really provided that. So I launched July 1st. It's still kind of in its infancy. We're still growing, grinding. But my thing is all about it's kind of like mental health, forget the world, go see a movie, enjoy it, block out your problems in real life for 2 hours, get transported somewhere else, and then sit around at a Waffle House after and chop it up with your buddies about the movie. That's the dream right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so definitely go give him a follow over on TikTok. And like I said, what a month for movies. I mean, we've got a lot of blockbusters coming out this month, this summer. And the biggest one that just came out recently was Jurassic World Rebirth, and that is actually our topic for today. We're not going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and hop into the segments here. We've got a spoiler-free version first starting out. So anybody that's listening here, we're going to give our spoiler-free kind of review reaction, and then we will let you know there might be a few spoilers, but we'll let you know when that segment's coming up as well. So really right off the bat, what are your general thoughts on this movie? What did you think going in? I guess, first of all, are you a huge Jurassic Park fan like I am? Everybody on this podcast that listens knows that I am just a diehard Jurassic Park fan.
There you go. I would say, yes, definitely. I'm a big fan. I wouldn't, you. I'm probably not on your level. I have seen every single one of them past 3, either in theaters opening weekend or an advanced screening. So, I'm at least that guy, I've really enjoyed pretty much every film aside from the last 2 on some level. One of my earliest theater memories is watching the pterodon come out in Jurassic Park 3 from the smoke when they're in the bird cage. I love that scene. I thought that was genius. I loved every part of that. So I definitely have been a fan of the franchise for a really long time. And going into this movie, I was very excited.
Yeah. And that's what too, my very first movie in theaters I ever seen was JP3.
That's awesome.
Very first movie ever seen. I was 6 years old at the time. So yeah, 6-year-old wanting to go see Jurassic Park 3. It was awesome for sure.
One of the scarier ones of the franchise too. It had some.
It really was.
Had some, that river scene when they're trapped with the radio phone, the satellite phone, and everything. Some scary stuff.
And it gets a lot of hate. It does not get a good rap, and I personally like it. I like it a lot. I really do.
No, I'm a fan.
But on to Jurassic World Rebirth. Do you think it was worth the hype? Just from an outsider's perspective, going in and watching the movie.
So interesting that you mentioned the hype. So when this movie was coming out, I got my tickets the day they dropped. I had tickets for it dropped on Tuesday because it was a 5-day release. And so I ended up seeing it on Thursday, and I got tickets as soon as they dropped, like I said. And I was really excited. And then reviews started to come out, and fan reactions started to come out. And it definitely kind of hurt my excitement a little bit. I was everybody was kind of lukewarm on it. I think it was somewhere around 75% for fan reaction and 57 critic reaction the night before I was going to go see it. So that definitely hurt my anticipation for it. But it also might have helped the movie in the long term be better because I would say my expectations were lower, so the movie had to do less to get me on board. What about you? What'd you think?
I am in the exact same boat. I think it kind of depends on the individual. Someone that's just looking for, a really good, fun dinosaur movie, they can go in there and love this movie. Me personally, I I was watching every clip, every trailer, trying to find out all the information I could. Social media honestly can ruin movies for you, and I am so bad at getting on there and looking at stuff like that.
No, I'm right there with you. I really have tried to stay away from this film, Superman, and Fantastic Four, because it seems like every other day there's a clip release. It's crazy.
Yeah, I felt like I watched the whole movie already on social media because because it was coming out. But I went in also with really low expectations, but a part of me wanted this movie to be, be good. And I enjoyed it. I honestly did. I thought it, it turned out pretty good for the most part. But there was a few things that were missing for me.
For sure.
Personally.
I'm with you. And it's interesting because I didn't know before you just said that your feelings. Like, you could have told me, like, I absolutely thought it was great. I loved it. I hated it. Like, whatever. I didn't know what your reaction was. So I was kind of holding my breath there to see where you were at.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe you can agree, disagree. I think it actually felt like a Jurassic Park movie. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the Jurassic World trilogy at all. The first three. But this one, I feel like kind of went back to the roots a little bit. I really enjoyed like the visuals, like I think we've talked about this before. It was shot on film. So like it was beautiful. Like there was a lot of moments in that movie where I'm just like, wow, like that's not a green screen. Like they are actually shooting on location. So that is beautiful.
It looked like a summer blockbuster supposed to look. Yes. It was bright. It was colorful. It was like hopeful. Like, if that makes sense, like there were shots where, a person's climbing up a hill and the camera pans up to see what they're seeing. And you're like, that's what movies, especially like if you're watching it in IMAX, that's what it's supposed to look like. And it accomplished that. Like in terms of cinematography and what the film visually looked like, 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh, 100% same. And like I said, we didn't really get that with the previous Jurassic Worlds. I realized 2 of them took place, back in the States. And this one was in like Thailand, and they shot in like, I mean, obviously New York City and stuff as well, but different locations. So it showed, it really did. And I think that added a lot to this movie. I mean, Gareth Edwards, like his perspective and getting scale and everything like that.
Oh, good.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Really good. Did you have, I mean, I liked the characters that were in there. Well, you had your main actors. There was Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and don't let me butcher this name, Mahershala. Is it Mahershala Ali?
Yeah,
Mahershala Ali. I thought they were all really good. Were there any standout performances that you've seen or that you really liked? Because there's one that kind of stood out to me that I liked.
I think we're going to be in cohorts with this. So I agree. I actually loved almost every character in this movie. Like all the way down to the family. Like everything just worked for me, which was a surprise. I did not think going in. Because one of the main criticisms I had heard from critics and fans alike was the family stuff just didn't need to be there. It didn't work, right? Well, I agree with you. Your 3 main leads, I thought they crushed it, with the standout being Jonathan Bailey. Like, he had heart to his character. He cared. It was like he put kind of the wonder back into, like, we all know the very famous clip of Dr. Grant seeing the dinosaur for the first time. And, he takes the glasses off. Like, you felt that moment. Like, I just got chills even thinking about that moment.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like with I don't want to spoil the scene. It's in the trailers. Whenever he experiences dinosaurs for the first time up close on land, that's a special scene. I mean, you feel that. Like, he is taken in, like, that is how it would feel if us today was in front of a dinosaur at that scale. Like, at least I would like to think, especially if you loved them like his character does because of his line of work.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I actually have my notes here. I just kind of jotted some things down, and that was the biggest thing that I had in there was literally his emotion he had, seeing, like, I felt like he actually cared about these quote unquote animals, just because of the emotion that he had and the passion he had for these dinosaurs. So definitely a standout character in my eyes. And I also was a big fan of the family, the dad and the family. I thought he had just like his mannerisms and stuff like that were, they kind of added to the playfulness, of the certain scenes in the movie for sure. But
I agree.
And then shout out Scarlett Johansson. I don't know if you heard, she became the highest the highest paid lead actor ever. I think she surpassed Sam Jackson and Robert Downey Jr. So, yeah,
those Avengers checks cash, don't they? Those Avengers
good for her.
checks. Yeah,
I mean, she was great in it. Yeah, she really is.
I actually bought her as like an action star. Like there are scenes, and I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but there are scenes where she's kind of like educating people on how to shoot a gun. And I believed it. Like, because I think you definitely can get into it. I mean, there's so many people, men and women, who they're not believable action stars and they're forced into those roles. I think she's great as Black Widow. I'm a massive fan of that. Everything she's really ever done, I think she's been great in. I thought she absolutely crushed the role. I also bought into the, again, it's kind of spoiler territory, the motivations for her character and Mahershala Ali's character, in terms of some things they reveal throughout conversations in the movie. It all worked for me. And then I thought it flowed with the decisions that they made through the film. I really bought the character. Like, it worked.
100% agree with that. And, it's crazy though. And maybe this is crazy for me to say. I like, these actors more than I like, and I love Chris Pratt. I'm a huge Chris Pratt fan, but I think I liked this group of actors more than I liked, the Bryce Dallas Howard, the Chris Pratt, and that's just a personal opinion.
I've not heard that.
I do love Chris Pratt.
I actually feel like I might be inclined to agree, because when I think about the Jurassic World films, the only two that I really have any connection to would be the Bryce Dallas Howard character and Chris Pratt's character. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I just feel like Chris Pratt, I mean, maybe when it was his job prior, being in the Navy, he just doesn't really show a lot of emotion, as the emotion that was shown in this movie. And I think that kind of added a little something extra. And we'll kind of get into movie rankings a little later on in the podcast and kind of how this movie stacks up with the other Jurassic Park movies. But all right. You're talking to a group of people. All right. Who do you recommend? All right. Who would like this movie? Who would you recommend go see this movie?
I think this is as close to a 4-quadrant family film. The only quadrant they probably miss is like 5 and under, which is, I feel like Dinosaurs. Like I see a lot of patients in my line of work, and a lot of them are children, and it's so common that they have a toy dinosaur with them. Like, kids love dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying?
My kids have tons of toy dinosaurs.
Exactly. So I think it's basically a 4-quadrant film. And I think one reason that this movie worked for me is because if you went into one of these films, I would say just about everyone except the first one, if you went in looking for Shakespeare or looking for a great screenplay or an Oscar-worthy performance, you're missing the plot here, right? This is a popcorn, throw it in your face, July action blockbuster with watching dinosaurs eat people. And that, it accomplished that for me perfectly. It was entertaining. It was intense. I got to see giant, crazy dinosaurs. I even got to see characters that I enjoyed watching and cared about and didn't want them to get hurt or eaten, or, you know what I'm saying? To me, just if its goal, and I'm sure everybody sets out to make, like, I hope we have an Oscar performance in whatever movie we make. But I believe with these films, they set out to make really good, dramatic, action, summer blockbuster, popcorn flicks. And I think they accomplished that tenfold.
Yeah, and there was just a lot more suspense in this movie as well. I felt myself like kind of on the edge of my seat, like it was kind of predictable, which we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But I'm just like still like, on the edge of my seat, just the way it was shot and the way, the reactions and stuff. It was good. I thought it was really nice. But
are you a Star Wars fan at all?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was talking to somebody the other day, and I told them that this movie, so you know how Episode 7 is essentially Episode 4, just a reskin of it.
Yeah, yep.
That's how I compared this as a reskin of Jurassic Park 1, just a reskin and a retelling, and I think that's why it worked so well. And it had the fear and the action, like it introduced those things again for me.
Yeah, I honestly have not thought of it that way, and that's to me it was just the next movie in the franchise, and I really didn't think of like the whole reskin thing of it. That kind of is a lot of different perspective, honestly, on the movie. But Yeah, that's awesome, and that's something, like I said, we're gonna get into a little bit later as well.
For sure.
Who might be let down, going to watch this movie? Is there anybody that'd be let
Ooh,
down at all?
I mean, I think there's a reason that the critic score was 57% because, or it's probably lower now or higher. I'd have to say, I would assume it's right around that. Do you have the numbers?
I don't, but that is third. Right behind it was Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic World, and then 57% is Rebirth. So
Okay.
I'm sure they're going to fluctuate over the
Right.
next few days or weeks for sure.
So I would say the people who are going to be disappointed are the people going in looking for, great emotional character depth and
yeah,
nuance and like you know what you're getting with these films, right?
yep,
Like you know what you're being served, or at least you hope you do. And I think most critics are known for being very critical. I mean, it's in the name, right? And that's
yep,
understandable if the movie doesn't hit you the way that it intended. I'm all for subjectivity. Film is completely subjective. If you hate my most favorite movie and vice versa, that's awesome, man. You know what I'm saying? You're
yeah,
welcome to your opinion. I'm not one of those
yeah,
film snobs who's like, oh, if you don't like so and so, you don't know film. No, we're all welcome to our opinion. But I think that's the people who are going to be let down. If you're really looking for great thespians on a stage, shouting Shakespeare out here giving Oscar winning performances, you're probably going to be a little disappointed when, especially certain things happen in this movie where it's like, probably
yeah,
shouldn't have done that right there.
yep. And I was trying really hard to not have that mindset going in, but me being a diehard Jurassic Park fan, I just want something to live up to the original three Jurassic Park movies. Did this one do it? We're going to get into that here in the next segment. I think that's a perfect transition here into the next segment. We're going to stop really quick because spoiler warning. I'm going to say spoiler warning. We might be saying some things, some sequences, some scenes from the movie. So if you guys are listening, we will transition away from this in the next segment. But this whole segment here,
Let's get into
there
it.
will be some spoilers. So let's hop right into it. Favorite scenes, favorite sequences. I want to see. We had kind of a discussion earlier. I have mine. If you want to hear mine first and
Yes,
kind of see.
please. Yeah, by all
All
means.
right, so mine was actually the Mosasaur, and I thought I was going to be like seeing the previews of this. I thought this was going to be kind of a shorter sequence, and I'm like, oh man, this kind of looks really dramatic, and I'm not sure I'm going to be a fan of it. The Mosasaur with the Spinosaurus scene, that whole sequence, I feel like from the time the Mosasaur attacks the family to where they get rescued, you get to see character. I'm not going to say depth because I felt that was kind of lacking in this, just a little bit. I felt like character development and character depth was not necessarily there, but in 2 hours and 14-minute movie, it's kind of hard to get all that stuff in. I understand that, but you kind of got a little backstory. You got a backstory from Scarlett Johansson's character and Ollie's character and Jonathan Bailey, and all these people. You kind of get just a small connection to each one of these characters, even the family as well. You kind of see what the daughter's like, what the boyfriend's like. So that whole sequence for me, I felt like there was so much in that, and then of course the action portion of it. You get to see in that sequence two people get eaten. Obviously we see one in the trailers, which kind of ruined a little bit. So I kind of knew it was coming. And fun fact, had no idea that guy was Ed Skrein, I think is his name. He was the bad guy, Ajax in Deadpool. And I'm like, why does this guy look so familiar?
Yeah, he
Like,
was.
yeah, I was like, why does this guy look so familiar?
He
This
was
guy that
named
played
after a
Billy.
soap. Yep. That's
Yeah,
it. He was Ajax. Yep.
yeah. So I was watching it, and the whole time I was thinking like, why do I know this guy? But yeah, the Spinosaurus, like that it just worked for me. The whole thing worked for me. And while it was predictable, it was a fun, action packed, predictable. So that was definitely probably my favorite scene. What about you? I don't know if you.
Well, I want to make a comment on that scene because there was a
Yeah.
character choice that happens in that whole. Because I mean, that is a large, section, right?
Yes. You also get to see the villains too. Yeah. Who
Correct.
becomes the villain in that? Yep.
Yes. I loved that they kind of subverted expectations with the boyfriend character and had him jump in the water after the girl. I thought that was a great character choice. It was completely unexpected. And because I actually think he provided some of the most depth in the film. There's a scene later that we could talk about that would, beef up that argument between him and the dad when the kids are asleep.
Yeah.
He has some real depth to his character. And so when he dives in after the girl, I was like, That's awesome. Like from that, because we're kind of introduced to his character in the same sequence. Like he's like this deadbeat
Yep.
boyfriend that's lazy, and this. No, he kind of was misunderstood, maybe a little bit lazy. You know what I'm saying? He probably fit that caricature a little bit. But the second that is the love of his life is in danger, he full sends it into the water. I actually love that character choice. I think he was very well written. Yeah.
And then too, and I didn't even bring it up. You get to see how these characters we get all these characters. You kind of see the emotional side of him. You see he's a caring person. You get, I cannot for the life of me think of the money grab. What's his character's name? The
is it? Yeah, no, yes, Martin.
Anyway,
Martin
the villain.
Yeah,
yes, yeah, the villain. You kind of see like him take over that villain role, like and you kind of know from then on out, something. It's the build up. Something's eventually going to happen, which it does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in that whole entire sequence, looking back on the movie, like that stood out the most to me.
Yeah,
for sure. But what about you?
So,
any scenes or sequences?
I think it's low hanging fruit, but I mean the raft scene.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like one of us had to say it if the other one picked.
For sure.
Know what I'm saying? You had to. I mean, it's from the book. We did have renderings or like sketches of it that was supposed to be in the original Jurassic Park. I think it's awesome that it made it not in any film all the way up till now with the technology that we have. I mean, dude, seeing that T-Rex, number one, the whole wake-up sequence when he wakes up, from his nap, her having to be quiet, that's like tension, you're kind of gripping your seat already. And then the shot of him walking into the water and getting lower.
Yes.
I mean, what's worse than a T-Rex is a flaming T-Rex, and a close second to that is a T-Rex underwater that like can swim agilely. Like, that was crazy, man. And that whole sequence, like, are there some things in that sequence that physically you're like, oh, that probably wouldn't be that way? Like, at the very end when he just can't get between the rocks, he's like, okay, I'll leave you all alone. I get the complaints there, but again, this isn't Shakespeare. This is a giant dinosaur going down a river, and that scene was tense and so well directed and so well acted. And you can't convince me they didn't really have that dinosaur running around that set. I mean, it looks so good. The CGI was just fantastic.
It was great, and I feel like this CGI was a lot better. I was not a fan of the CGI in the first Jurassic World. I thought the raptors looked terrible in that one, but yes, the T-Rex Houdini act.
Oh yeah, it just disappears at one point. Like I'm
like, all right.
It was great
tension. But it builds the tension up for sure. And I mean, I wasn't as like, it just got its head stuck in that little thing, could have went over the top. I think it's to the point, the Rex wants to hunt, but it's like,
not the smartest creature in the world. We've historically talked, little brain.
Exactly.
But I also will say in that scene, one of, like, I don't want to go most iconic shots in Jurassic World or Jurassic Park franchise, but the shot of the girl underneath the raft and the teeth coming down into it, imprinting, that really was good. A fantastic shot, man. That was so good. That was, like, that stuck with me. I can still see that.
And then the reactions, I always think, like, if I'm in a movie like this, like, how am I reacting? Like, am I laughing that I didn't just get ate by a a theme park monster, a T-Rex, whatever? Or am I, crying and, like, shaking? And, like, I think some of the reactions are meant to kind of give kind of that little relief a little bit.
Oh,
but at the same time, I'm just like, I would not be, like, laughing that like, we didn't get eaten by a T-Rex. Like, I'd be like shaking. You people that survive bear attacks or whatever, they're not laughing afterwards.
That's true.
They're terrified.
But that's a classic action movie trope. When you barely survive death, you just like give a laugh to the sky, like you're laying there exhausted. We almost died type deal. It's a classic.
And that's what it all.
Yeah.
It all comes back to, it's a movie. It's a movie. 100%. So we're there to enjoy it and whatnot. Sure. But a question for you, I kind of touched on it a little bit. Were the dinosaurs, creative, or was this more predictable? Were they pretty predictable in the things they did, or you think it was pretty creative?
Well, the fact
I want to get your opinion first, sir.
The fact that it is now, what is it? It's the seventh film in the franchise? Seventh,
yep.
I mean, you've already got, you started with the Indominus Rex in the first Jurassic World with finally creating new dinosaurs that historically would not be found on record, right?
Correct, yeah.
And I feel like in this movie, they about stretched that as far as they could. Don't get me wrong, could you let some creature feature designer design you something even more grotesque and bigger and badder? I'm sure you could. But I feel like we've ramped it up every time to the point now, we've kind of exhausted the list. Like you can only combine raptors with pterodactyls, with T-Rex, with
Yeah, yep.
I do, but I thought the designs, everything really worked for me. I really liked the D-Rex. I also really liked the Jaws approach, where less is more. The less you show of him, the scarier he was.
Yeah,
I felt that worked for
feel
me.
like we're gonna have a differing opinion kind of on that later on
That's
as we get
okay,
into
no problem.
into this for sure. And I love that. Like
Yeah,
I love that we can finally have a disagreement on something, so we can
yeah,
actually have a little bit of
little
conversation about it.
discourse
But
there. Yeah,
yeah,
but no,
for
I thought
sure.
the designs of everything that we saw on screen did work. I just
Yes.
think we are kind of at the tail end of what we can do. It's it's Ian
Hmm.
Malcolm's line from Fallen Kingdom, or yeah, Fallen Kingdom's like, why do they always got to make them bigger? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
we've got. I
Yeah.
mean, at some point, Godzilla's going to walk out on Jurassic Park if we're not careful.
Yeah. I mean,
Little
fingers
Gareth
crossed that
Edwards
doesn't
dying.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So strengths and weaknesses of the storyline. I know we kind of touched on a few things a little bit. Do you think it had more strengths than it did weaknesses, or do you think that it was pretty well balanced?
I actually would probably go well balanced. I mean, there were some things in there like they definitely wrote the script to get rid to undo what they had done with dinosaurs in the real world, with the whole thing about they got to live near the equator because the oxygen's not formidable for them or compatible for them. They definitely wrote that
Yeah.
so that they could move back to an island, which is fine. I didn't necessarily mind that. The whole plot about it's got to be the biggest dinosaurs on land, sea, and air because their heart's big enough to sustain. I mean, is that scientifically accurate? No, but neither is bringing back dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Yep.
all of that. I would say it worked for me. Is there gravitas to the story? Not at all. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
definitely had an idea and they formulated it in a way that got it to screen. And the Jurassic Park story past like number one literally just needs so your audience goes, okay, I'll buy it. Like the
Yeah.
first
Yep.
one's very scientifically, but like you go, that could really happen. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that could really happen. I'm not saying scientifically it could. Now we're to the point where as long as you can get your audience to go, I'll buy it, then I think you're doing
Yeah.
your job in terms of a Jurassic World movie.
Yeah. And the weaknesses for me, I talked about it a little bit. We've got the character development, and I realize, that's me just being nitpicky. I'd like to know more, like, with Scarlett Johansson, with Ali's character, with some of these other characters, like let's get some more depth. But
For sure.
I felt like I did care about these characters, but I feel like I would have cared more had I known more of a backstory. But like I said, you turn a 2 hour and 14 minute movie into like a 3 hour Titanic type movie.
Yeah,
so you can't
very
really,
true,
can't really do that. But you had brought up the dinosaurs. You don't really see the mutant dinosaurs that much, and you really don't. I think we see the D-Rex twice. I would have liked to seen the dinosaurs more. I feel like in all the trailers, I felt like I seen the dinosaur more in the trailers than I did in the actual movie.
Yeah, just about. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I think every scene where the D-Rex shows up is in the trailer. Not the extent of the scene, but every scene is the end scene and the very start of the movie are both in the trailer.
Yeah. What you do see him, and like you said, the less you see him, the more terrifying he is. And I definitely agree with that because it is extremely like, the spooky, like, I mean, it really, you only see him at nighttime. So it just kind of adds the suspense to the movie. But I would have liked to see him maybe a little bit more. And I think my biggest complaint is we didn't see, and I realize this is a mutant type dinosaur film. We didn't see the original dinosaurs that much. You see the T-Rex for the one T-Rex scene, and then you see the raptors for 5 seconds. Like you see 2 raptors for 5 seconds and then they're
destroyed.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Literally.
One's
so
it's brutally killed.
And me personally, like I love raptors, and I'm like, raptors have lived on this island. I mean, I realize they're hunting and something's always hunting. There's always something bigger and badder, but it's just like, man, I just watched a raptor fight Indominus Rex in the first one. It's getting taken out by a bird with teeth and everything. I mean, I don't know. So I think
what they were setting up to about like this island is specifically where the mutant dinosaurs are.
Yeah.
Like there was a little bit of like, did it make sense that we even saw the raptors and the T-Rex that we saw on that island? Like part of me was
that's true.
like, if that is our classic Rexy, which I don't think it was,
No.
I didn't think it
Looked
was because
yeah.
that kind of got settled a little bit in the previous films. I was kind of like, okay, is that T-Rex special? Are those Raptors special? Like why? Or because we do see the one tube where it looks like there's like a two-headed raptor type deal going on. Like, are they spliced from that? Did they have those dinosaurs on that island to help mutate to get blood from? That I could see, but I think just the premise of, hey, this is the mutant island, this is where we did all the work, that kind of worked for me. I understood what they were doing.
Yeah, I need to put myself kind of in those shoes. I think I need to kind of separate myself from the previous Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies. And, while raptors were the smart, intelligent animals or, dinosaurs, maybe on this island they're not as intelligent. Maybe, they're obviously they are the science experiment that went wrong. So maybe there is something wrong with them.
Yeah. But I would say, too, as a diehard fan, I don't fault you at all for wanting to see Rexy and wanting to see the classic clever girl. Like, I mean, those are iconic things, especially in the original franchise. Like, I'm right there with you. I don't fault you for wanting to see that. I just don't know if the movie was set up to provide you those things.
And I feel like what I should have done is taken those three movies, the three original movies, and just locked them away and shut my brain off from those original three. And like, all right, let's see how this stacks up against the previous Jurassic World movies, which we're going to get into, because I think it did a really, really good job. And a strength of this movie that I really did like, I know I said it was kind of predictable in some spots, but the suspense, we brought it up before. The suspense in this movie was top notch. Like me and my wife went and seen it together, and she's like, I was on the edge of my seat more
Same
than I have been in any other.
She was covering her mouth and her eyes, like she was really into it. She really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, more than any other Jurassic World and Jurassic Park movie she's seen. I'm like, oh, that's what I asked my wife. Like, I was like, so what did you like about it? And she's like, I liked everything. What did you dislike? I can't tell you if there's anything I disliked. And I'm like, all right, thanks for the input. But
so do you want to go into some of the dislikes? Do you want to talk about?
Yeah, we can definitely go into some of the dislikes. Mine was the predictability of like the deaths. You knew exactly who was going to die, how they were going to die. You kind of seen how the movie was going to play out. As soon as at the end, as soon as he gets in the vehicle, I know exactly what's going to happen. And he's trying to escape. It's the predictability. But like I said, I think the suspense kind of balanced that out really well.
Yeah.
But and then I said too, like my dislikes of not like the character development, whatnot. But did you have any other dislikes that aren't?
So there were definitely some things that they put in this movie, some character decisions that like even in a movie that is a summer like. So one thing, there's a famous movie punting out there, and he says this, and I love the way he puts it. It's like, I'm all for living in your world, but your world has to operate under the curtain of what it sets up, right? Like, we know normal gravity works in this universe, right? And you have Jonathan Bailey's character fall like 200-300 feet, hit a couple trees on the way down, a 1 foot puddle, and just gets up and walks it off. Like, his glasses were still on.
No scratches,
literally
nothing.
Like, also, and this is a massive spoiler, so I'm glad we're still in the spoiler territory. I love the setup of Mahershala Ali's character clearly having lost a child at some point and really caring about the kids. I think for his character development, they let me know everything I needed to, right?
Yeah.
That final scene, as dramatic as it was, and as noble and heroic as his character was, throw the flare that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He even made they even made a point to say it out loud. He's following the light. Well, don't keep the light in your hands and keep backing up to the point where you're just laying against a tree, right?
Yeah, and along those lines, the ending did not do it for me. Was not a fan of the ending. I'm like, why doesn't he
like they're on the boat, they're driving off.
They're on the boat, they're driving away, and then all of a sudden he's alive, and that thing's right in his face after it.
That didn't make a ton of sense either. And I know it's like off camera, out of sight, out of mind. Like me and my wife talked about it after when he's sitting there hollering for them to come. I was hanging on to my seat thinking something's about to just grab. You know what I'm saying? He's not making it out of this.
Oh, I said the same thing. And I had heard that the I don't know where I heard I think it was just on social media that the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus was going to be in this movie. That's what I had heard. Right. So I'm like. And when I seen that, I'm like, oh my goodness, that Spinosaurus is going to come and just like boom. And then like, that'll be like the end of the movie. And personally, I would have loved that. I really would have loved that. I think if you do something like that, the Spino eats it, and then like it's just like a big reaction, and they're all silent, and the movie ends.
Yeah.
What a great ending, because I'm
sure.
kind of getting tired of seeing, oh, let's drive off into the sunset on the water. Like I'm getting really tired of like that
Imagine
sequence.
that happens and then the D-Rex eats it. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
that would have been crazy.
Give me more chaos. I love the chaos.
But yeah, for me, that was probably the only thing that really took me out of the film. Like, as much fun as I had with the movie, I probably liked it more than most. When Jonathan Bailey's character fell and got up, I looked over at my wife like, ain't no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
Just some of the
and
things
apparently
like that.
Yeah, and apparently the little parachutes, they're the easiest thing to track in the world. You're telling me there's no gust of winds carrying that thing?
That was super plot convenient. They float right down in your hand. Yeah, no problem.
Yep. Oh, two landed in your hand, and the other one, as soon as you fall,
it just comes right down. It lands that actually got a pretty good chuckle out of the audience whenever Jonathan hits the water, whenever his character hits the water, and then the parachute comes right down beside him. I was like, that's movie making right
there. Last question for you. In this segment, do you think there were too many callbacks in this movie?
Dang, is it bad if I say there were not enough?
Really? Oh man.
I mean, and they're definitely, so I'm probably like, I would say we probably agree in that, like, the Alan Grant character and Ed, like that whole OG crew, I love that crew. Like, I actually made a prediction list that I didn't get to post because I didn't get it out in time. But one of my predictions was that we would get either an OG cameo or callback. And we did. Jonathan Bailey's character was like, I'm a disciple of Alan Grant, essentially. Which I was like, oh, that's good. And there were, I loved, and I would love to hear your opinion on this. The opening shot of the D-Rex, whenever it put the OG logo up there and it was lit red because of the flare and the smoke, I was like, that's sick.
That was awesome.
That was great. You know what I'm saying? The curtains falling whenever they're breaking down the museum over the dinosaur.
Yep.
That was. I was like, I like that. I love all those little just winks at the camera. That if you weren't a fan of the OG franchise, they just looks normal. But for us who have been, I'd call it. We've been shooting in the gym for a long time. We understood what was going on.
Yeah, and like I said, I like the callbacks. I do, but part of me wanted this to just be something new and original, but I'm asking too much. Yeah. But there were definitely quite a few, like you said, the banner falling, the flare at the end, obviously following the light. It's attracted to the light, following the flare. And I'm sure there's several others that I'm missing here.
I said, it was almost like, the scene in the gas station was literally the scene in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, yep. Mm-hmm. The same one for sure. But
the dinosaur blows the smoke when the little girl is in the cooler. It's the same thing against the window. The circle, the window. It was all there. They definitely did a good job with that.
Yeah.
If you were looking at that.
Yeah, and there was quite a few. I definitely noticed quite a few. Oh, yeah. And
but see, like,
I think this is one of those.
My wife, who's like a casual fan, no idea.
Yeah,
like she has no idea, about any of that. And that's what I love just about going to the movies. You know what I'm saying? You get in what you put in, or you get out what you put in, and literally I'm sure like you probably got every single thing. And my wife's over here just having a blast watching dinosaurs.
Yeah, my wife's the same way. Like, we'll go back and watch like the original Jurassic Park movie, and like it'll be that the kitchen scene, and I'll look at my wife and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna pause the movie really quick. All right, look back there. Do you see like the stage hand with its hand on the raptor's tail?
Yeah.
And she's like, where? And I'm like, you have to look really close, but it's there. And it's just like, she's like, how do you know that? And I'm just like, just because I've watched this movie so many times and I've researched and read about it.
You weren't with me shooting in the gym. You was in the gym for sure.
Yeah. So
I'm even speaking of like callbacks, I actually thought that the T-Rex or whatever the dinosaur is in the end of Dominion, like going through the circle with the water falling and it like makes the logo in real life. I thought that was cool in a movie that I'll say if it was good or not. I won't say yet because we're going to rank. Yeah. I thought that was a great callback. I was like, that's cool. I like what you're doing there. I'm a big fan of
I think
Easter eggs.
Yeah, I think you definitely do see it. I need to go back and watch all the Jurassic Worlds again. I've probably seen every single Jurassic Park movie at least 20 plus times, which is a lot. Yeah. But I'm sure there's like they're like that in every single movie with the callbacks. I just definitely noticed him a lot more in this. And maybe, like I said, it's because I was looking for him, because I read about it. And I think that this Jurassic Park, or this Jurassic World movie, I definitely spoiled a lot for myself and looked into way too much information compared to the last films. So that's on me, though. That's on me. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from Smackin' Sunflower Seeds, and then we're going to hop back in with how this movie stacks up with the others. Smackin' Sunflower Seeds. Choose your flavor and enjoy some of the best seeds on the market. Smackin' goes above and beyond to make sure you have the perfect seed every single time. Enjoy their wide selection that they have to offer. Not sure what seeds to buy? Grab a variety pack and use code AVERAGE or scan our QR code for 10% off. All right, we are back, and now we are actually hopping into how this movie stacks up with all the others. So we're gonna first talk about how they compare, or how this movie compares to the original 1993 Jurassic Park. I think me and you can both agree it doesn't even come close to this movie. It doesn't. Right. I don't think it comes close to the original Jurassic Park. While it's a good movie, I don't think it's in that tier. I think Jurassic Park, the first one's in kind of a tier of its own.
100%.
But I'll be intrigued to kind of see what tier you put this in. So we'll say, that's in the top tier. We have the second tier down here, The Lost World and JP3, which a lot of people, don't necessarily have those two together.
Mm-hmm.
But just for this exercise, we'll say these two are together here.
Okay.
Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. Do you think it falls kind of in this tier a little bit? Is it just outside? Does it kick one of these out of this tier? Maybe bumps it down a little bit?
I don't want to spoil where I'm ranking everything.
Yeah.
So I would not. I personally would not have Lost World there.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I would probably have it right on with Jurassic Park 3. So either B tier or C tier. So either that tier or the next one would be where I would place Rebirth.
Yeah. And then the Jurassic World trilogy. Now, while I did like the original Jurassic World, we'll kind of get into the rankings a little bit. I definitely think it was better than Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. I think it, and not only better, I think it's light years better than those two.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah, just because of, all the things we have talked about. By the way, people that are coming back and joining us now, we are out of the spoilers. No more spoilers. We are back to regular conversation. So make sure that if you have seen the movie, definitely check out the spoiler section, see if you agree or disagree with what we had to say.
For sure.
But so did you feel like, this was more grounded? Do you feel like it's more intense, just more fun, like this movie in general?
One thing I really liked, and I kind of touched on it just a little bit, is I really like the first Jurassic Park movie first Jurassic Park is scary. Like, it's fearful, like like, I mean, the T-Rex scene, is one of the most classic scenes. I mean, who hasn't seen that water cup ripple when you hear the T-Rex walking up? Like, the raptor scene that we mentioned in the kitchen, like that, like those things were terrifying. I really felt like for the first time since, I really do think, probably since number 3, Jurassic Park 3, I felt the fear in this film.
Yeah.
Like, it was
I agree.
Like, it felt like a horror film at times. Like, there wasn't like a ton of like gore, like I think that they've done in previous history. I don't mean that. I just mean in terms of design and in terms of atmosphere, they did a great job of making you feel the fear. Like, especially there is a scene where it takes place in like a tunnel, and there are dinosaurs in that tunnel, and the claustrophobia of that, and and they're being down there with that's scary. The D-Rex, which you've seen in the trailer. That thing if that thing was real, it would be terrifying.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely more intense. I'll use the word intense.
Great word,
and fun. So like intense and fun. And I would put that on par with the original films, for sure. But now we've been trying so hard not to spoil anything with what our rankings are here. I am super intrigued. To see what your rankings are for all these Jurassic Park movies. So now I'm going to give you, I'll let you choose here. Do you want to go 1 to 8 or do you want to go 8 to 1?
I would want to go 8 to 1.
Or sorry, 7. 7 to 1. 7.
Yeah.
Okay, 7 to 1.
Which, spoiler alert, the original Jurassic Park is going to be number 1 for both of us. I have to assume.
Yeah. Yep. So that one's an easy one for sure. So, all right, I'm intrigued to hear what your number 7 is. Actually, your number 7 is probably my number 7 as well.
Yeah, my number 7 is going to be Dominion.
Yes, Dominion as well. Awesome. They brought back all the original cast.
I know, man. It's heartbreaking.
I can personally say that I feel bad that the original cast had to come back for that.
Because that's what we were waiting on. Like, from the moment Jurassic World hits theaters, you're like, oh my gosh, can we get Alan Grant and Ellie and everybody back into this thing? And they finally get the legacy characters back, which they had Ian Malcolm in the previous one in the courtroom scene. I know, he's basically not in the movie. But, like, they finally get them back, and you waste it on giant grasshoppers.
Locusts.
Yeah,
giant locusts. It's like, are we kidding?
Man, come on.
Oh, my goodness.
And Spielberg had to call them to convince them to do it, to come back, and they do come back, and I'm glad they did. Yeah. It was so cool to see those characters again, but you're like, this is what we wasted that comeback on?
Yeah.
Like,
this is what I waited for.
Yeah.
This is what I waited for.
Exactly.
I honestly almost got up out of the theaters and I love Jurassic Park and I'm like, I want to leave. Like I want to leave. And everything just drug on. But yeah, I feel like that's a lot of people's maybe not. I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but I feel like that's a lot of people's
I would agree.
Last one.
I think that's yeah.
For sure. All right. So far we're the same. Number 6. What's your number 6?
Number 6 is going to be Fallen Kingdom. So I'm kind of right back in the same ballpark. I will say for this is kind of the difference between Fallen Kingdom and Dominion for me, is Fallen Kingdom did do some interesting things that I enjoyed. Like having the Indoraptor was cool, and having that in a small space in that mansion, whatever you would call it, I thought that was interesting. I actually, and I feel like I feel like I'm in the minority here. I thought the cloning stuff that they were kind of starting to get into, that I really thought the franchise was going to go towards, thought that was interesting. I mean, you get into like the mother had her daughter, which is herself, and that's a whole web of nonsense there. But like, I actually thought that was really cool. They cloned a human.
I agree. I thought that was interesting as well. My biggest thing, and this goes for Dominion and Fallen Kingdom, I cringed way too much in that movie. I thought a lot of what was happening was so cringy. I'm just like,
it became less about the dinosaurs and more about like a globe-trotting Indiana Jones adventure with Chris Pratt. You know what I mean? And I love Chris Pratt. I'm a massive Chris Pratt fan. I actually like him in the franchise, but it really, like I said, it took the shine away from the dinosaur and became more about, like I said, this globe-trotting adventure. I even loved when they set up the idea when she releases the dinosaurs at the end. I was like, I'm interested to see where we go with that. Unfortunately, it didn't go many places.
Yeah, and then come to find out she's not a clone at all. She's actually her daughter.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, man. And you let all the dinosaurs out.
It got a little messy toward the end, for sure.
Yep.
But I did like the Indoraptor. Indoraptor was cool.
I did too. Yeah. And really quick off of that, that's kind of Jurassic World. The first one sets that up with when they're in the lab there, and it's like, oh yeah, you see like the Indominus Rex. Like imagine that only a fraction of the size, and basically using it as a weapon. So, really interesting. I feel like we're going to differ on this next one here.
We are
definitely going to differ. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Jurassic Park 2, Lost World.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lost World.
Yeah. Not a massive fan. There's things that, like, I'm sure nobody likes the gymnast scene. The girl swings and kicks her raptor. Like, I get that. I just don't love that film. Like, when it's not bad. Like, there's a reason it's 5 and not 6 or 7. There are some things that I like in it. I think the idea, like, it was ahead of it's actually before its time. See what I did there? Dinosaurs land before time. Yeah. It's before its time in that they released a T-Rex, in the city. And that's cool. Yep. Like, that premise is cool. I don't think it was super well executed. The whole baby T-Rex and the T-Rex coming, all that stuff. Not the biggest fan of it. Still, I would say picking up with 5, though, like 5 and up, are movies I would enjoy watching again. Definitely as you get closer to number 1. Like, if I never watched Dominion and Fallen Kingdom again, I would be just fine.
Yep, and I have them all on DVD. I mean, I got my DVD Blu-ray player.
You gotta buy. You have to buy Rebirth when it comes out.
And I'm gonna have to for sure.
You got to complete the set. All right, what is your number 5? I'm very interested.
It's the first Jurassic World.
Oh, okay.
I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for that, but I just have such a connection to those original 3, and me growing up, like the first movie, like Jurassic Park, my grandparents had on a VHS, so I'd watch it over and over and over on VHS. And like the same thing with The Lost World and JP3. Like, you know, I didn't get Jurassic World to 2015, so I already had this huge connection to these original three that I grew up on. It's just hard for me. And you know, at one point in time, well, I'm not going to spoil anything yet, but
you're good. I feel you.
Yeah, no, Jurassic World though. When I left the theater, I will never forget leaving the theater and thinking to myself, like, I didn't really like that movie. And it wasn't until I rewatched it where I'm like, okay, it's kind of grown on me a little bit. But I remember like the comedy with the kids and like, oh, like the whole like trying to hold the hands and stuff like that in the thing. I'm like, I'm just not used to this kind of comedy or this dry humor in a Jurassic Park movie. So like it honestly kind of caught me off guard a little bit. So I think that's why it sits there at 5 for me.
I gotcha.
Number 4, let's see if we're back on track here.
Speaking of comedy done well in a Jurassic movie, Jurassic World Rebirth. Jurassic World Rebirth would come in at number 4.
It is my number 4. It is my number 4 as well.
This is a very minor, this isn't a spoiler, this is a joke that's told in the film. So the funniest part in the film for me is when the kid whacks the tree with the branch. He goes, "Let's go," and he hits the tree, and some big dinosaur moves. "Let's go," but that way, like that was one of the biggest laughs for me. That dude was great comedic relief. He played his part very well. But for all the reasons we just mentioned, Jurassic World Rebirth, number 4.
Honestly, he was the funniest character in there.
And like I said, he had a really dark, like deep, dark moment between him and the dad. It really was a very well acted, emotional scene between them two. Like I said, I won't spoil it, but he had some character work.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it either, but when they're all sitting there and he's talking about a certain something, I'm just like, that's actually kind of funny.
I felt that. Really good. Really good.
Yeah. But all right. So
what
back on track
number
here.
4. Where you at?
Yep, Rebirth. It's Rebirth.
There we go.
Yep, it's Rebirth. Yep. So we're back on track. Same one there. Number 3 for you.
I will say this. I have gone back and forth over this. I don't know how long. And if you ask me tomorrow, it might change. But here, it's the number 3 film will be Jurassic Park 3.
Yes, same. I am right there with you. JP3 is my number 3.
Love that. I think it's so good. This is a conversation that I had with a friend not too long ago. You know, a lot of people make fun of the talking dinosaur in the dream sequence. Alan, you know what I'm saying? It catches a lot of heat. But if you watch that film and you connect that with, he has the vocal box of a raptor, he's thinking about how they communicate, how that then plays into the film. It literally saves their life when he uses those vocal cords. I actually see that as a connection that works for me. Was it a random part in the movie? Sure, but canonically in the story they were telling, did it work? Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah. And my thing with that whole scene is the fact that, you know, that almost was his death. You know, in the first Jurassic Park, you know, he almost died by a raptor. So, you know, going back to an island with dinosaurs, you know, something that almost killed you. Yeah, you might have a dream of
that he swore he'd never do. You know, he said he'd never go back. That's a premise in the movie. What is it? Brian? Is that the character? Brian, his like protege? Is it Brian? What's his name?
It's Billy.
Billy. It is Billy. Yes,
Billy.
So. Big fan of Billy's character. I liked, like, that dynamic worked for me. I love the whole birdcage scene. I love the big dinosaur in that movie. I'm a big fan of that. Like, the satellite phone sequence with the fire and the river and the rain and them calling Ellie and, you know, the ending when, you know, Sadler sends the Navy for him. Like, that whole movie, that's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it.
I did too, and it's the shortest movie I think in the franchise. I believe it comes in like an hour and 30 or hour and 40 minutes. So it's a very short Jurassic Park movie, but they accomplished so much in that short period of time. And you know, it's nonstop dinosaur action, like from literally, like, you know, you get the little sequence in the beginning before they fly out, but then it is just nonstop.
It is, yeah.
And I might go watch it after we finish this podcast.
It sounds like I will say it is one of the funnest films in the franchise.
It is
like
agree.
a ride. Like, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, it's a blast, man. That's a really good.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, we're talking here about Billy, and you know, he's one of those characters like, oh, he's an untouchable character. There's no way he dies, and then he gets like pecked to death, and you find out later. But like in that moment, you're like, oh my gosh, like you know, he's dead. And then obviously you find out that he's found later on.
Yeah.
And something else too in that is, this is a fan theory. when the Navy they pull up on the beach, like a fan theory is that Chris Pratt's character is part of the Navy as they come onto that island. So that was one
works.
fan
I've
theory.
never heard that. That works really well.
Yeah.
I like that. And what kid didn't want to freaking pack a parachute and jump off a cliff and yank it like Billy does? Like that was such a cool scene. That whole sequence.
Yeah, that was.
When Alan realizes it's a bird cage. Like that's so good, man. That shot of that pterodactyl coming through the smoke with the big wind. Like oh man, that was talking about like nightmare fuel. That was pretty scary there. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, Alan Grant kicks it in the beak like that's gonna do something. Yeah. But, oh man. All right, so I think I know what your number 2 is.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go. I've been leading it off. Unless you want me to, then I will.
Well, mine is actually The Lost World. It is The Lost World is my number 2.
I'm very interested to like hear your support of
it. I just felt like it was different. Like, Ian Malcolm, he doesn't want to go back on this island. He's forced to go back on this island because of his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
He's got to go. It's basically becomes a rescue mission, essentially. Well, they're not there just to, see the dinosaurs. And, they get there and then like their whole operation is, set aside because now they've got other people coming in trying to take these dinosaurs out, take them to San Diego. So it's just something that, and I realized it happened so early. So, I mean, obviously we hadn't seen it before, but it was a different take. Like now you've got dinosaurs back in the mainlands and stuff. And, all of the sequences as well, like the high hide, and just like the T-Rex walking through the woods and you hear the roar and they're all like staring in the direction of the roar, and then you just see the T-Rex walking through the woods. And
that's a good shot.
I like the baby aspect. I like how, there is there's so many people on the island too. There's not just,
there's
5, 6,
fodder, if you will.
There is a ton of people. And you get connected to some of these and, they die. But I just thought it was neat. I remember growing up and watching the movie and then seeing all the dinosaurs run in that little valley area and they're capturing them. I'm just like in awe as a child.
That is
like,
a really
wow,
cool
this
thing.
This is awesome.
Again, not a bad movie to me at all. Like that would like I said, 5 and up are all like good movies that if you said, hey, let's watch this movie, I'd be like, okay, I'm down. Whereas 6 and 7, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to see that again.
Yeah. So yeah, it is my number 2, and like the original 3 are my top 3. So
of course, no, I completely understand.
Yeah, and I'm assuming
definitely helps though. But I mean, that's awesome. It's like that's why I like one of my earliest theatrical memories is watching Jurassic Park 3. Like that's one reason why I really like that movie till this day. It just works for me. So I'm with you on that. I completely understand.
That's awesome. So you're number 2. You're number 2.
Jurassic World. Yeah.
Jurassic World.
It was just a blast, man. Like for me, like especially so coming back to that franchise, having the last experience I had with it was Jurassic Park 3. And I loved that. Clearly that stuck with me as a child. And I think I'm probably like 17, 18 when the first Jurassic World came out, maybe a little bit older. I was like, oh my, like everything about that movie, like I did like Chris Pratt's character. He was kind of the Pratt-assance, like he was everywhere, he was.
Yep.
Mario,
Lego movie,
Lego,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
He was everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And like I thought his character was good. I liked his dynamic with Bryce Dallas Howard and the kind of will they, won't they. I thought the dinosaur action in that movie was great. From the one in the water to all where they had the T-Rex. The giant T-Rex head on the pterodactyl, like they were clearly splicing and stuff. Love the idea, and this is where I feel like I differ with a lot of people. I love the idea of them trying to militarize dinosaurs. Because I feel like
that's the first time you've seen it.
Real-world application, like if that was a thing today, 100% we would be trying that. That would be something we would be pushing for. So that made sense. Love the idea of Chris Pratt trying to train raptors. Like I know people are like, that's so stupid, you can't train a raptor. Well, we train lions and tigers and
bears.
So I mean, it didn't seem that far. I mean, again, that would be the natural evolution of a real world Jurassic Park for me. And then of course the Verizon Wireless presents the Indominus Rex. I thought that was a great I love the idea of putting all this stuff into a creature. Like when they were like, you didn't put raptor DNA, did it? No, they did, So I just, that, down to a cuttlefish where it can camouflage itself. It just all worked for me. It was big, dumb fun. When there was still a little bit of the science aspect, like they did try to make it make sense. But I really liked it. It's a blast, man. It's a blast in the theater for sure.
And like I said, other than, you said your top five, I could watch all these top fives over and over and over again and not get bored. When we get into Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, that's where I'm like, oh my goodness, do I have to sit through this movie?
Exactly. I'm right there with you 100%.
Yep. And then, of course, our first, we already said Jurassic Park. That movie speaks for itself. There's really not much you can say about that movie. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what we're talking about. This movie it hits everything. You get to see, they go into the science of it. You get the suspense, you get the dry humor. And it just comes together so well. And
it's in a league of its own. I mean,
it really is.
You got historically the best working director making a dinosaur action film.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven was, to me, that's a top 5 Steven Spielberg film. Like, that is an all-time
really
classic film. Like, whereas I would say every film other than Jurassic Park is like supposed to be a summer blockbuster popcorn film. That movie was supposed to be a great character-driven film. Like, I don't think it was nominated for anything, but like that's what they were going for. They had the perfect mix of like great filmmaking and an action movie with dinosaurs where they eat people. I mean, fantastic.
And imagine, going to see this movie in 93 and seeing just, the CGI for that time and seeing these animatronics and thinking, oh my gosh, like, we don't really know what dinosaurs actually looked like, but if they were alive, I feel like that's what they look like. And, I think they nailed it on the head.
For the time. Because I've watched like some documentaries on it, watched some people talk about it. Like, that's insane. I mean, it really is. It was a masterpiece of filmmaking, especially for the time, and still holds up.
Yeah.
Like that dinosaur chase scene, the T-Rex chase scene with the Jeep, that looks real.
Yep.
Like, the Raptors look great. There's a little bit toward the end, like with the big fight, I think doesn't look as good. But I mean, it was made almost 30 years ago. Like, it's
and that's so crazy.
It is
so crazy.
I know. Makes you feel old saying that. But I mean, dude, it's just a cinematic masterpiece. It really is. It belongs up there in talks with some of the greatest films of that generation, for sure, if not all time.
People are still using the voice of the T-Rex. Movies are still using the voice of the T-Rex in like movies now. So it's it's awesome for sure. But last little bit here, we've just got some fan theories and some what's next. So big question. This is for you. This is for everybody listening. Should this franchise continue or just end here? All right. Is this the beginning of a new trilogy, or is that it? Did this come out, just to kind of revamp what was,
so
last put out?
I would actually love to hear your theory on that. What do you think? Should they and would they make more Jurassic Park films?
So, well, after seeing what it did on opening weekend, I definitely think they will. Should they? I feel like I would watch it. So yes,
for sure. I would as well. I'd be there opening night for sure.
Primitive War's coming out here this year, and I'm super excited to go see that dinosaur movie. Like, I'm all about dinosaurs, so I'm excited to go see that as well. But I feel like this movie could have ended a lot differently to set up better for the next movie.
I'm with you.
But, I'm not, like I said, we're not going to get into spoilers again, but should it end? Yes. Do I want it to end? No. So that's kind of this simple answer.
No, I know. There's always the possibility of another great Jurassic Park movie down the line. Yeah. So I did look up some numbers before this. I'm big into, like, I've been tracking box office and critic scores and everything for like the last 20 years. So I'm big into that. So here are the last 4 films. So Jurassic World did 1.67 billion total. 208 million opening weekend, which is insane. At that point, it was the record for weekend box office. It made $208 million. It surpassed Age of Ultron for that little time. Like, it was that big. We then go to Fallen Kingdom, 145 million. You see a dip. You then go to Jurassic World Dominion, 145 million. So even. This opening weekend, $91.5 million. So you see this constant decline. Now, it did open on a 5-day weekend, and it did, I think, 147, which that's great for that. A 5-day weekend's a great total. But historically, we compare weekends to weekends domestically, and you're looking at 91.5. So at its peak, $208 million, they've now ran the franchise down to 91.5. And you got to remember, it did do, I think, 340 box office worldwide, which is pretty good. Opening weekend, that's really good. They should be popping bottles over there. But does it have legs? It's fixing to run up into Superman. Are people going to be seeing it 2-3 weeks from now? I think this film gets lucky if it makes $700 million. Now, is $700 million good? Well, depends on who you ask. Historically, no. But you're still making a very large couple $100 million profit. That sounds pretty good to me. So,
no kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Do I think they will make another one? I do. But here's my concern. I'll go see another one just because this one was good. Where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Like, what would the premise be? Like, at some point, we got to get into the Alien franchise where we're putting humans and dinosaurs together. If we're, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because I really thought we were going toward a real world, like dinosaurs in the military. Could dinosaurs terraform our world to look like what theirs were? And then it's like a Planet of the Apes situation where we're the lesser species. You know, life finds a way. They evolve. So I really thought they were going somewhere with that. And then we won't spoil anything, but the way this movie ends, I'm not sure what you do. Now, it takes a great writer to come up with a pretty simple premise. And, hey, we got Jurassic World Rebirth again, you know, but I don't know.
I think I'm glad you brought that up. Like, where do you go from here? What I would like to see is, you know, let there be a tragedy or some kind of event that happens if there is a next movie that leads people that aren't experienced and have no idea what's going on or what this island is. You know, let it be like some kind of cruise ship that, you know, gets tipped over by the mosasaur and they all wash up on shore. Or maybe it's like, you know, maybe not a cruise is too big or a yacht of some sort. You know, you've got numerous people now. So now you become more of like a Lost type thing, but you have maybe these groups that kind of are traveling around. And maybe you have more of these deaths because you have several people. Let it be, you know, continue to steer more into that horror side of things. Let it be a scary monster movie because, I mean, this island is the scary monster island. So why not steer into the curve, you know, and kind of build off of that a little bit.
I don't hate that idea at all. I don't hate that idea.
But that's just my thought.
Warner Brothers should call you, man. They should call you. I don't hate the idea. It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. We're closing in here on an hour and 10 minutes. So we are going to wrap up. But one last thing here, and I had to get your opinion on this, was dream director, all right, for a future film. So if you had to pick one director to direct the next film, who would it be? And if you don't have one, I actually have one because I was actually doing some research as I was looking this person up. So I'm like, oh, this person would be great for this. And the more I researched, I'm like, no way. I had no idea. So I actually took these notes down here. I instantly, when I was reading through this and I'm like, oh man, it'd be really cool if James Cameron, you know, directed the next movie.
Yeah.
He did the Avatars, he did the Terminators, he did Alien 86, Piranha, you know, so he has that experience. And I was looking up, like, would he be interested? Like,
that's
just looking.
Great choice. Aren't him and Steven Spielberg really good friends?
So, and I was looking this up, and it said he tried to acquire the film rights to Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park novel, but he was ultimately outbid by Steven Spielberg by a few hours. Spielberg beat him to it by a few hours. And I was reading into this, and it said that he mentioned his version would have been a darker aliens with dinosaurs take on the story, which he later realized probably wasn't a good idea. And Spielberg actually, you know, did great by the franchise. But looking at this now and thinking, okay, well, he already had this idea. He already wanted to be part of the franchise. What if he comes in and continues to kind of steer that dark way and, you know, kind of make it his own now that he's seen where the franchise has gone. So
that's a great choice. I really like that choice. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of a lot of his films. I love the Alien franchise, which he birthed.
Yeah.
I think The Martian is one of the better, like, this kind of couple decades movies. I love The Martian. He's a little busy with his 5 Avatar films, but if he wanted to take a break, 100%, I'd be down. I'm a big fan of Sean Levy. He's the one who did Deadpool and Wolverine, Night at the Museum, you know what I'm saying, stuff of that nature. I think he's got a really fun directing style. I could see him, you know, ramping up kind of the action adventure style. And then, I mean, if I'm dream casting, I think the 2 best working directors right now are Chris Nolan and Vinay Villeneuve. So would the director of Interstellar or the director of Dune do a Jurassic Park movie? Probably not.
Yeah.
But if I could sign them on, if I could write a check big enough, that would be. I mean, come on, they just don't miss. So I would love that.
Yeah, I mean, and we can all disagree and
Exactly.
hope that Spielberg can come back and direct another one, but I don't think that's happening.
Just seeing that Amblin logo at the start, you're like, man, because I mean, we all watch ET, we know all that. It's like, why would you not want to? Because he produced it. He was a decent part of this movie.
Yeah,
I was like, bro, just come back and make one more. Come on.
Yeah, please. I know you've been part of like all the last ones, but now actually be a part of it and direct another one. But
part of me wonders if they don't wait like a good decade or two and then just reboot it.
See, and that's where I think like it's been going in trilogies, but they released Jurassic World Rebirth so close after Dominion. I think like the train wreck of Dominion made them be like, we've got to get something else out there because we can't end it like this. So this is either the end or it's the beginning of something new. So I guess time will tell.
I think that box office will be the final decider. I think that box office will be, because I mean, if it gets up there, 7, 8, 900 million, I think you have to do another one just because.
Oh, especially with everything that's coming out. I mean, it's going up against, like you said, it's going up against like. I mean, I realize that, you've got your Supermans, you've got Fantastic Four, but even like. It's an underrated movie, but I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I'm pumped for that movie.
Excited to see the remake of that. Yeah. So
I'm excited.
I mean, there's a lot coming out that it's got to compete with for sure, but it definitely did not release at an opportune time.
Hey, it started it off though. I mean, it did. 340 worldwide is really good. Now, is it low for the franchise? Yes, but is it good overall? Yeah. I mean, $91.5 million is not up to their standards, but it still made $91.5 million. That's still. I mean, ask 28 years later if they would have made $91.5 million opening weekend, they'd be popping bottles over there. Like, trust me, there are movies that would kill for that type of number. It's just for the franchise historically, it is kind of doing it. So we'll see where it ends up and if it has some legs to compete with the Man of Steel.
For sure. But I think we're going to wrap things up. Connor, thank you once again for joining today.
My pleasure, man. It's an honor. It's an honor.
This was awesome being able to talk to you about Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, this whole entire franchise. But those of you that are listening, like I said, go follow him on TikTok. Forget the World Movies. Got a lot of really good information. He's always going and seeing movies and doing the reviews. So
no doubt. A lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff coming this month, especially.
Yeah. Which is awesome. I'm looking forward to it. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one.